Universal opened up the extremely popular Wizarding World of Harry Potter back in 2010, and Walt Disney World came up with their answer by opening Star Wars: Galaxy's Edge, an as immersive theme park area dedicated to the world of Star Wars. I did not get a chance to see this in real life yet, but today we're here at Disney's Hollywood Studios to explore all that, and I cannot wait. In 2017, I visited Orlando for the last time, and since then a lot has changed. Every park in this theme park capital has invested in new rides and experiences, and after 6.5 years, I'm back to explore them all. Today we're stepping into the world of movies at Disney's Hollywood Studios. So here we are again at Hollywood Studios, the park that used to be Disney's MGM Studios, all about movie production and behind the scenes looks. But those times are long gone, and nowadays they clearly are going in a different direction. A similar route we see them taking at the Paris Walt Disney Studios. No more behind the scenes looks, but becoming part of the movies instead of seeing how they are made. Now anyway, I'm glad to be back here today, as I always like this park. But it's not as big, it's not a big one actually. There are not too many rides here, but it will hopefully be better than my last visit back in 2017, as this park felt like one big construction zone back then, as most of the rides today, most of the new rides today were not here yet or still under construction. And I believe back then half of the park was not accessible, and we only had 6 rides we could do. So it was definitely not a full day park. But that has changed nowadays, as since then 5 more rides opened up, which I haven't tried yet. So it's nice to be able to experience new things for at least half of the rides. It feels a bit like exploring a whole new park, but half of it only. I mean, does that make any sense? I don't know. Enough talking, let's get to our first ride. And that first ride here today is this one here right in front of us when you enter the park. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Mickey's and Minnie's Runaway Railway. This is a fairly new dark ride from 2020 that opened up here in this building here that used to house the Great Movie Ride. Last time in 2017, I already knew that ride would be leaving, so I made the time to enjoy that gem to roughly last time. And it's still a shame, as that ride was really a nice dark ride in my opinion, with the actors along the way and such, the big ride vehicles, the elaborate sets and such. But anyway, it's gone and has made way for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, a trackless dark ride with very much screen-based scenes, but I've already seen all rides of it and it seems to be nicely done. But we'll have to see if that is also my feeling after riding it in real life. So let's check it out. Okay, that was a fun ride here. I already knew what to expect, so seeing it in real life was not very eye-opening, as it's basically very much what you see online on the on-rides. But what you cannot grab on a YouTube video is the fact that those ride vehicles really make a lot of movement actually, and they offer a very energetic ride, and I was just really surprised how quickly they were able to make sudden movements with those ride vehicles and such. So that was really fun. But overall, fun ride, but yeah, not the best dark ride in the world, but just a fun ride. Now the next area we're doing here after that fun dark ride is the Toy Story Land here at Disney's Hollywood Studios. I have not seen this area yet because it was still under construction when I was here last time. So I'm very curious. I'm very curious to see if this is really looking good or if it's a bit comparable to the one in Paris, but I don't think it is because it's with a lot of different rides, but we'll have to see. And the first ride we're doing in this area is Alien Swirling Saucers. This is a ride that's very similar to what we have in Paris as Cars 4 Roue Rally. But here, the ride is a little bit different actually. The theme is obviously different with alien toys from Toy Story being the main characters here. As is the fact this one is covered, but the ride system has a small addition here, as you are actually seated in some sort of trailer at the back of the car, so you're not only spinning as in Paris, but you're also kind of drifting, as you can see here. Okay, so Alien Swirling Saucers here behind me. It's a fun ride. It's very comparable to the other ones I did so far, but without drifting. The drifting was fun. It was not too intense, but it was just fun. I expected a little bit more maybe, but it was, it's just a fun ride. It's only a little bit short maybe, but maybe that's to improve the capacity here, especially in Walt Disney World. But anyway, it's a fun one, so enjoyable, good for once. Now Toy Story Mania is up next. Now this dark ride from 2008 is very comparable to, for example, Mouse Chocolat at Phantasialand, for example. And you're riding in a vehicle, driving past screens where you have to play games. But I remember this one being not as nicely themed as Mouse Chocolat, for example, between the different games. But anyway, I'm not a huge fan of this ride, but it's always extremely popular here, which I don't really get. As to me, this ride just feels like a big gaming arcade, only you're not walking around yourself, but you're driving through it. But we're here now, why not do it? Okay, so Toy Story Mania, it's like I said, it's very similar to Mouse Chocolat, the ride system, but Mouse Chocolat is just more heavily themed. Also the scenes in between. This one, the games they're fun, but there's not really a story or anything. It's just some different games you're passing by. In Phantasialand, you really have a whole storyline and a whole purpose of why you're shooting. It's just so much better there. So Disney may have been the first with this kind of ride, but it's not the best one. Okay, and we're leaving Toy Story Land again to go to the next ride, which will be Star Tours. Okay, so Star Tours is up next. This ride that was already here on opening day in 1989 is a very well-known ride, of course, as we also have this one in Paris, and it can also be found at Disneyland in Anaheim, for example, and in Tokyo too. But anyway, this ride is a simulator ride based on the Star Wars movies, and the ride used to have a different movie just as our version in Paris, until they completely changed the ride in 2011 with new movies, new storylines, and a randomizer, making every ride actually different by having a few alternating storylines and locations and such you're flying over and on your trip. Now the story is about C-3PO, the robot from Star Wars, accidentally becoming your pilot on a passenger flight on this spacecraft, and along the way a lot of things are going wrong or not as planned. It's a really fun ride with a nicely teamed queue, and yeah, what I like the most actually is the huge capacity on this ride. So lines are always doable. As you can see, it's about 30 minutes, so that's doable. So let's check this one out and have some fun again. Okay, so Star Tours here behind me. It's a very fun simulator ride. It's the same, of course, as in Paris, but in Paris they don't have the English version. I think they don't have that many different movies apparently. So it's fun to always have different kind of endings and different kind of parts in this movie. So it's always a bit different. But I really like this one. It's not very thrilling or such, but it's just a very fun one. And from that Star Wars ride, we could go to next Star Wars ride, which we can enter right there, Galaxy's Edge. But first we're going into the Muppets area here to experience Muppet-Vision 3D, which is a very fun Muppet ride. But I'll get back to you about this in a minute. Alright, so here we are at Muppet-Vision 3D. It's, like I said, a very fun 3D movie based on the Muppets, which opened up 2 years after the park opened. I don't remember a lot anymore, but I know I always liked this one, so let's check it out. Okay, so Muppet-Vision 3D is a really fun 3D movie. It's not a 4D cinema, so there's not really that much effect or anything. It's just a movie, and the whole theater, the things happening in the theater are just really fun. It's just a very fun movie with a lot of quirky jokes, and I just love it. It's really nice. And now we're going to enter Star Wars Galaxy's Edge because we have a reservation at Oga's Cantina to have a drink, and I'll take you there with me. Okay, and from Oga's Cantina, next up is Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. It's a truly unique ride that opened up in 2019, and you cannot really compare it with anything else actually. By the way, this is really cool actually seeing the Millennium Falcon here right in front of us in real life. This is really amazing. But anyway, this ride, you cannot compare it with anything else. It's a mix between Mission Space, Star Tours and a video game. In this ride, 6 people take place in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon from the Star Wars movies. They all have their tasks such as piloting, shooting, etc. And the cool thing is you're actually flying the thing, as the spacecraft really reacts to anything you do. It's just a huge video game, which is really cool, but more about this afterwards. Okay, so we just went on Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. It's a very fun simulator slash gaming kind of ride. It's very fun. The only downside we had was our pilots were a bit younger, so they weren't really steering very well. So we were constantly bumping onto stuff and such. So it was not a smooth flight, but it was fun. The ride system is very unique. It's something you cannot find really somewhere else. It's just it's really fun simulator style ride actually. Okay, we are leaving Star Wars Galaxy's Edge now again to go to Slinky Dog Dash, which is a roller coaster in the Toy Story Land area, but we'll be returning to Galaxy's Edge afterwards again for Rise of the Resistance. But first, this Mac-powered Mac Rides roller coaster. And that is this one here right in front of us, Slinky Dog Dash, a Mac custom coaster from 2018 that wasn't here the last time I visited. It's themed around the Toy Story character Slinky Dog, but it's very much aimed at families with kids, so the ride is nothing too thrilling, but it looks very playful with all the toy teaming and such. And all the toy teaming surrounding this ride. But the capacity on this ride is absolutely awful, and there's always huge lines for this one. So fingers crossed we'll not have to wait too long, but I'm afraid we will have to. Slinky Dog Dash here behind me. The good thing is we didn't have to wait too long. It's the posted wait time was 120 minutes, but we only waited like 70 minutes, so that was great. But nevertheless, this coaster is it's a bit rubbish actually. It's stupid to have to wait that long for such a stupid roller coaster. There is no forces to it. The launches are not that. That's barely a launch. It's just a very rattly coaster, very shaky also. It's not the best coaster at all, and the capacity is just atrocious. It's really, really awful. But anyway, it's nice for kids, but that's just it. ride, and from that awful kiddie coaster, let's go to probably the most anticipated ride of the day, Rise of the Resistance. Now this is going to be a Star Wars ride that opened up in 2019. I've seen a lot of videos about this already, so I'm already really spoiled. But this is a dark ride, as some would say, but in my opinion this ride is not just a dark ride, this is a Star Wars experience, because from the moment you enter the queue you are in a Star Wars adventure. The pre-shows during the queue are really amazing on its own, especially the second pre-show, and the sets along the way are just jaw-dropping at some point, and then the ride still has to start. Now the ride itself is a trackless dark ride in which you have to escape from the First Order Star Destroyer back to Batuu, the planet we are on here actually. It's an exhilarating dark ride with a lot of cool effects, amazing sets, mind-blowing animatronics, and a big surprise at the end. But without further ado, let's ride this one. Alright, so we just came off Rise of the Resistance. It is really one of the best dark rides I did so far. It is the mix of the screens, the practical effects, the sets, the story of the ride, the drop at the end. It's such a cool thing actually. It's in my opinion, it's better than, for example, the one in Universal from Harry Potter and Forbidden Journey. This one is so much better actually. The queue is not that interesting except for the pre-shows. We stood in line for 1.5 hours, and it was a bit tiring at the end. But the pre-shows and the whole ride just make up for it, because it's a really good ride actually. So if you ever come here, don't miss out on this experience, because it's actually really worth the wait. And from that dark ride, we're off to the last ride of the day. That is going to be that one big tower at the end, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. We're here at Sunset Boulevard now. It's a really nice looking street here at Disney's Hollywood Studios. At the end, there on the left, we also have another attraction, but that one is closed for today. But I'll let you know more about that once we arrived at the back of the street here. So here we are at the back of this Sunset Boulevard, and here on our left is what normally at the entrance to Rock and Roller Coaster, but unfortunately that ride is closed today. It's actually such a shame, as this one is the only one of this ride left in the world. As in Paris they changed this ride to the awful Avengers Flight Force. But this one here with the Aerosmith music is just far more superior in my opinion. Now for the one that don't know what it is, this is an indoor launch coaster from Vekoma featuring a launch up to 92 kilometers per hour in 3 seconds. It features 3 inversions and a nice storyline about going to a concert of Aerosmith in a super stretch limo with Aerosmith music blasting through the speakers and such. But anyway, fingers crossed next time this ride will be still be here and I'll be able to ride it again. But I kinda have a feeling that the ride will be themed to something else next time I'm coming here, but fingers crossed. I really hope so. But anyway, that ride is closed. On to the last ride of the day, and this is by far my beloved and my most beloved version of the Twilight Zone, Tower of Terror. And this is the original version from 1994 and the only version with a 5th dimension scene. I mean, the version in Paris is not only looks really different, but it is different when riding it too. Because the ride system for this version was too expensive, they did not copy it to other parks, but went for a cheaper version in all other Disney parks around the world. But anyway, for those that don't know the Paris version, this ride is a drop tower, but an extremely heavily themed one, in which you are seated in a service elevator going up and down slowly past cool scenes, telling the story of the ride before going through the 5th dimension, where your elevator is coming out of the elevator shaft and driving into another shaft where the fun begins with sudden drops and climbs. The fun thing here is the fact you are only seated with a seat belt and the elevator drops faster than the speed of gravity actually. So you're basically being pulled down, making you really fly out of your seat. So this ride for sure has one of the best airtime of any drop tower I experienced so far, which makes me really love riding these kinds of rides. But more about it afterwards. Okay, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, it's so much better, this original one, compared to the one in Paris, for example. The addition of the scenes where you're driving with the elevator and such, it's just so much better. But anyway, I hope this version here will stay like this, because they seem to reteam a lot of Tower of Terrors around the world to other more popular franchises, but I hope they will keep this one the same, because this one is really, really good. And with this nice projection mapping show and some fireworks, we're ending our day here at Disney's Hollywood Studios, the smallest park of Walt Disney World. Now, on my last visit, I was not a big fan anymore because so many rides were closed or under construction, but that was actually greatly improved on this visit. There's just so many new amazing rides such as Rise of the Resistance, Smuggler's Run, just a jaw-dropping Galaxy's Edge actually. It's mind-blowing how beautiful it is. I would even dare to say it's even more beautiful than the Harry Potter areas at Universal, but as a Star Wars fan, maybe I'm kinda biased here. But anyway, even Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and the new Toy Story Land and such are great new additions, although the Slinky Dog Dash coaster is definitely not worth a long wait. But overall, I really enjoyed my day here again. It's a small park, but it's charming with great rides and some true classics also, such as the amazing Twilight Zone Tower of Terror and such. Now again, as in the Magic Kingdom, also here the Genie Plus service is absolutely making a visit here quite a nightmare sometimes, as it just creates waiting times which just shouldn't be there actually. It's such a money grabbing service that absolutely gives a lot of people not spending the money on it like really a big middle finger, and that's just awful. Really, Disney, I get what you're doing here, I get why you're doing it, but it absolutely ruins the magic, and I'm quite convinced in the end it will only backfire actually, as people will start to skip these parks more and more over the years and go find their fun like somewhere else where you have better balance between price and quality. But anyway, with those wise words, let's call it a day, and I'll see you again in the next video. See ya!